Hi everyone, it's Victor speaking, and I'm here today with TSVETI. We haven't done a video for a very, very long time, so it's good to catch up. And we're going to be talking about out-of-bound planets, which is a very interesting astrological topic. How are you doing, TSVETI?
Oh, I'm doing great, thank you, and thank you so much for this really wonderful and very interesting topic. Not so much discussed and a bit like forgotten, I would say, but still very important because it
Yes.
really gives very important and specific traits to the person's character, which would not be so obvious from the chart when you look at it.
Yeah. Do you have out-of-bound planet?
No, but I have Mercury on the 0 degree.
Oh, you've got Mercury on 0 degree. Okay.
Yeah, which
So
is
if you
something.
guys don't know what out-of-bound planet means, then basically, actually, I'm going to show you so it's easier to explain. So, oh, why is it not clicking? Here you go. So, for instance, that's Wetty's chart. I knew she didn't have one out of one because I had a look. But basically, what you should see here is that we've got the ecliptic, and this is going to be the sun's journey. So we all know that we've got 4 seasons, and then starting with the Aries season, or we starting with the spring, and then it's going to be traveling on that line, what you can see on this graph. And then at one point, it's going to be reaching the summer solstice, and that's going to be the highest point the sun is going to be reaching in the sky. And then after, it's going to be going nicely down, and then you can see somewhere in autumn, it's going to be reaching one of the lowest points, and then it's going to start coming back up. So basically, this is what we call as the journey of the sun. And when a planet is actually going above this sphere here, which is approximately about 23.27 degree, then that's the planet which we're going to be calling out of bound. So imagine if there was a line here drawn as well. So you can see that Sveti doesn't have actually any of those planets, either below or above. Now, why is it important for us? We tend to be looking at the latitude of the planets, sorry, the longitude of the planets, and we don't necessarily looking at the latitude. So this is what the latitude is going to be showing us, and we call that planet out of bound, or the planet has got a high declination when it reaches that point. So once again, it's 23.27, either above or lower, you will be able to see whether you've got an out of bound planet. So if I'm going on, for instance, here is a chart, and then you want to be seeing if you've got an out of bound planet, what you do is you just enter your birth data on astro.com, and then you go on additional tables right there, and then you will be able to see the latitude of the planets, but we are actually interested in the declination of the planet. So now, for instance, you can see that this person's Mars is actually above 23.27. So he is going to have a out-of-bound Mars. And we're going to explain in a second what out-of-bound means. Now, next to the next to the declination, yes, you can either see an S or an N. The S is actually the representation of the south, and the N is the representation of north. So as I showed you here on the graph, the sun is going that journey. That's going to be the north area for us. And then when the planet is at the bottom, that's going to be the south. Now, it doesn't necessarily have got a special delineation when it's north or south. That's actually going to be important when it comes to the parallel and contraparallel aspect, but we might be making a video on that later on. Another planet, which you can see it's very close, I mean, actually also out of bound because it's above 23.27, is Jupiter. Now, the more out of bound planet you have, the more special you become. So, Tsveti, what does out-of-bound planet indicate in our chart?
Well, out-of-bound planets in our chart, they indicate something that we are very unique about. They make us very uncommon. We have a very unusual and out-of-box representation and thinking concerning the planet, which is out-of-bound, of course, and its qualities. So this is the way, this gives us a very special way, a very uncommon way of how we perceive things. And as you and some other astrologers also, I have seen it explained in a very easy way. It's like being behind a window, a glass, and being able, when you are on the verge, like on the 23.27 degree, you have access to see both what is common, what is accepted, what is the society rules, what is okay for the whole society, and then one step ahead, being able to see one step more into the future, into something which is not so much familiar to others. So thus being a kind of a connector between two worlds, between what others are able to see and what is actually out there as well as a potential. And actually those who are very close, like on the 23rd degree and above, until the 24th, 25th maybe, they're like more able to present these new ideas to the society, because they will be able to also see and perceive what the society actually wants and what the society is ready to accept. So this will be out of the box thinkers who will be able to somehow lead to changes. They will be innovators, and their ideas will be accepted, and there will be progress. And out-of-bound planets actually bring some Uranian quality to the planet. So this is the more general descriptions. There is really much more to say about it, but I don't want to be too
Yes, I completely agree. It's like the planet being in conjunction to Uranus. So we're going to have these over-the-top type of qualities, a unique talent. It could be actually indicating whatever the planet rules in your chart, or wherever the planet is in the natal chart. That's the area of life where you might be looking for some type of freedom, or you thinking outside the box, as you said, or they tend to be quite rebellion about those things as well. And because it is pretty much compared to the sun. So the sun is the king of the solar system, right? So when a planet is actually out of bound, the sun doesn't have any overview over the planet. So imagine, there is that saying what was the saying I always forget. Once, when you leave home, and then when there is no cat in the home, then the mice are running around. So basically, that's the type of feeling this energy has. No one is ruling over you. So that planet can be therefore, it's like a very strongly influencing the chart, because no one is controlling that planet. And every single planet is meant to be communicating with the sun, which is going to be talking about your soul mission, right?
Yeah.
Out-of-bound planet is definitely worth having a look at, because it can give you great qualities, and then if you use those great qualities, actually it becomes a unique talent.
Yeah, and also just wanted to add up something, because having a unique talent is also a great responsibility. And just like Uranus would make us really rebellious, or getting against the mainstream, I just wanted to say that having out-of-bound planets it can play out in a negative way as well. So
right.
it is a great talent, but it is up to our free will how we are going to manifest this talent.
That's
And
right.
it's really something really special, really unique, which we can develop, but it's a matter of choice. as well.
That's right. Out-of-bound planets bring up and down type of energy. So, you know, if you use the positive side of it, let's say I give you an example, you've got an out-of-bound Venus, then actually you might be extremely beautiful and then you can become a model, or you can use the other side of Venus as well, that in your love life is going to become a disaster because you are not harnessing the energy of the goddess of Aphrodite, right? So yes, it can really go two ways.
Yeah.
Do you think we should look at each of the planets? Oh, by the way, I wanted to mention that only 7 planets goes out of bound. It's not all of them. The most common one is the moon being out of bound. The least common one is actually Jupiter. And apart from those 2 planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Uranus, and Pluto could be going out of bound. So therefore, as you can see, Neptune, Saturn, they never go out of bound. And of course, the sun wouldn't be able to either. Some people do look at some of the asteroids as well. So I don't have an out-of-bound planet, but I've got Ceres out of bound. And Ceres, for instance, is all about nurturing, agriculture, the modern nature type of energy. And I do tend to be extremely nurturing, actually. And I do love gardens. And I, as a child, I used to go and pick up mushrooms in the forest and walnuts, and I was peeling them, I was selling them. This is how I made money. So as a child, when I was about 8, 9 years old. So I do love spending time in the nature. Actually, I love flowers a lot as well. So yeah, have a look at your out-of-bound planets, and then we're gonna go through Sveti, each of the out-of-bound planet, what it could indicate. So let's start with the moon. How do you feel about moon?
So having the moon out of bound, it can be, this means that the moon is out of the king's sight, which means it no longer has this tendency to be so much concerned about what others would think, of staying into a relationship for the relationship's sake. It's not ready to sacrifice as much as other moons, which are, you know, within the normal range, would be willing to, in order to remain within a relationship or within the public eye, because moon also rules publicity. So and yeah, it's the moon, when the moon is out of bound, it's really very spontaneous, it's emancipated, because the moon is also the feminine you know, role that we have. It's liberated in a way, and it doesn't only give us freedom, it is somehow freedom. In a way, you know, it's like you want this freedom. And the moon being out of bound, it will be like, as you said before, like a conjunction with Uranus. So as I said, not absolutely at any price staying in a relationship, not needing to worry about staying in anyone's good grace, so to say. And I read about an example about someone, I don't remember the name, but they were very famous, a baseball player, a very famous baseball player. And at the age of 23, when they were really, when this guy was really starting to make a great career, he had a out of bound moon at the 28 degrees somewhere, very out of bound. So he just decided one day, I'm going to become a monk. I don't need this anymore. And I am leaving, I'm free. Because you know, being famous and being in the public eye is also ruled by the moon. And these people with out of bound moons can be really having the tendency to just leave for no reason, to just leave the scene. And very unconventional, not so much about family, not so much about having kids, very much interested into the occult, very much interested into dealing with such matters, you know, mysterious matters, and very good at that as well. Very good.
I think I know 2 examples who left their career, and one was Kurt Cobain, And the other one was Cat Stevens.
Cat Stevens was the
Yeah,
other.
and he's the one who left his stardom to follow his religious beliefs.
Yeah, he became a Muslim.
Yes, exactly. And another example is Arnold Schwarzenegger, who actually became a governor. And as you said, they tend to be leaving, or they choose to leave. Sometimes they walk away from their successful field because they want to be pursuing something else, or they want to be breaking out of the social construct as well. Or it could really bring like some type of criminal behaviors as well for them. For instance, I give you an example, Edith Piaf. She has got out of Bound Moon, and she was absolutely addicted to drugs, and then she was even convicted. So yes, out of Bound Moon can indicate that someone is extremely nurturing, very good at inspiring others. They can have extremely great intuitions as well. They could really understand others and themselves, and they are very good at keeping their own sense of consciousness. But when it comes to the negative characteristics of that, they can have those, like when you feel like someone is chasing you, you can have these strange feelings, some type of destructive behaviors or habits you can have. And you disregard rules no matter what, you can become very stubborn as well.
Yeah, yeah,
How
absolutely.
do you feel about Mercury being out of bound?
Mercury being out of bound. This will be very much related to our communication style and how we actually approach others. Having an out of bound Mercury, this will be like on the verge of genius way of thinking. Absolutely. And it can though bring some ideas which are much more ahead of their time and not so much easily accepted by others. And like any other out of bound planet, Mercury maybe most of them all, because this is how we communicate and how others perceive us in when we connect. Then we can be really seen as really weird. Yeah, and not so much accepted for that,
Yeah,
because we will have our own rules, and if somebody doesn't like us, we just like don't care.
yeah.
Very stubborn in a way.
You know, Mercury out of bound can give us talent in writings. They could be extremely good writers, teachers, speakers. They can have very good talent for social media, especially these social media moguls. You know, these influencers, I think we call them. I think they can have very good out of bound Mercury. Uh, the way they speak could be quite charismatic. They could
Yeah.
be extremely intelligent. On the negative way, their way of thinking can be the way how they process information, or the way how they understand things could be a little bit bizarre. And maybe they have got a tendency to exaggerate as well. So they have got the the ability to lie or to mislead others. They can have a very fixated mind as well. Even they can have speech problems.
Mm-hmm. And yes, this is exactly again related to this you know, to the communication style, as you said. And when you said they can be great writers, I'm also thinking about Mercury being very good at engineering and maths as well. So they
Mm-hmm.
can be great engineers. They can be really genius. But just like any other genius, being on the verge of perceived as crazy a bit,
Yes,
you
that's
know,
right.
because it's a very thin line between being a genius and being, you know, not
A
being
bit
able
of a
to
cuckoo.
communicate what you actually see beyond, because they have access to such a great field of information. This is Mercury.
You
And
know what? They can even hear voices sometimes in
mm,
their head. And I agree, Mercury is extremely analytical. It's very good at collecting data. So these could be quite elevated when Mercury is out of bound.
Yeah, and it's
How do you
again a
feel
matter
about
of
Venus?
okay, Venus. So Venus can be what is Venus? Venus is our value system, and it's also how we look, the way our attitude towards money, and our attitude towards the good things in life, how we enjoy them and what we like, what we choose. So having an out of bound Venus, it can indicate a very romantic nature on the one side, and someone who is very charismatic and very magnetic. They will be attracting others because they will be so unconventional. Others, and as you mentioned in the introduction of the video, having an out of bound Venus can become a model because they're so beautiful, but also they can start manipulating men to achieve their goals using this position. So it's always a matter of how we assert our power. And also Venus, because it's a very artistic planet, so it can give us really some artistic talents and music talents, and people without a bound Venus can have a very specific way to distinct between the good, what is harmonious, what is beautiful, and they can actually become good critics as well.
Yeah.
So being able to assess other people's and works. So yeah.
One of my favorite example is actually Björk.
Uh-huh.
So I'm gonna share the
She's very
screen.
unconventional, but
Yeah,
she has
she is
other planets.
extremely.
Yeah, she
She's
also
got
has
three out
other
of
planets.
bound. Yeah, she's got Moon, Mercury, and
Yeah.
so Mercury is on 25, Venus is on 25, Mars is on 24, and even Jupiter is quite close as well. So if you look up Björk, for instance, just looking at her Venus, and Venus talks about your style. So if you look at her style, that is very unique. So she mixes colors like no one else does. So she doesn't mind mixing the yellow, purple, pink at the same time. Her hair used to be like the rainbow. Yes, absolutely. It could be it could give you a sense of beauty. It could give you a sense of charm. And yes, on the negative note, you can be greedy for money, or maybe you like changing your partners as well quite a lot. So of course, the more negative aspect you've got to, for instance, any of the out of bound planets, maybe you bring in the more negative qualities to it. So now here you can see on the graph, actually they are even colored in purple. They are all out of the 23.27 degree. So that's the reason why they are out of bound.
Yeah.
When it comes to Venus, I would say that it could give us increased sexuality, especially in the ladies' chart, and it could give us quite like excessive indulgence as well.
Yes.
Now, they could be extremely good singers. Venus rules the vocal cords. They could be very good at or in the beauty industry, and they could be extremely seductive and sensual as well. So there is that very magnetic, charismatic nature to them.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yes.
as you said, enjoying the good things in life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, Venus rules luxury and
absolutely.
fun in a way. So definitely. Let's have
Yeah.
a look at out of bound Mars then.
Well, out of bound Mars will not be just as seductive, but maybe very sexual, especially in a man's chart. So they might be just like women with an out of bound Venus. They can be the same way manipulative to women or to work with their body in a way. they can be really great athletes. I believe that an out-of-bound Mars will give a wonderful will and perseverance of the person. And also, they will have a very creative expression of on the physical level. So they will, and of the will, they will have great determination to achieve their goals. But they can also be a bit, stubborn in a way as well. So and a bit fixed to when they have a goal, they will just run and not, because Mars also rules reason and our analytical mind. So it can be a bit too irrational in a way, just running after a certain goal, but not thinking through the details, the facts, being very basic somehow, on a very basic level. And yeah, maybe Mars will also give, being the lower octave of Pluto, maybe they can be brave enough to say out truths and taboos,
Yeah.
and not being so much afraid of being criticized or, yeah. So,
A friend of mine has got the out-of-bound Mars, the very first example I showed you. And he's got out-of-bound Mars in Sagittarius in the first house, bang on the rising sign. So that's a very prominent Mars. Now the out-of-bound is definitely coloring it. He is one of the most ambitious and driven person I've ever met. He's got all these literally crazy ideas of how to make business. And I mean, sometimes I'm just laughing. And he's doing these sexual type of paintings, and people are interested in it. So, but it's in the first house as well. So he is the skinniest person I've ever seen. Again, the Iranian quality, what we mentioned, that it goes to the extremes. Well, his body is definitely very extreme. He's 180 tall and he's only like 49 kilos.
yeah.
A woman would love to be 49 kilos, Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
On the
So,
negative side, Mars can be quite brutal, can be quite violent, aggressive. They could be quite a bully as well. Sexually could be very dominant. Yeah, and unfortunately, they can become criminals as well. On the positive level, extremely good leaders, extremely good business people, because they've got very good stamina and they've got very good vitality as well.
yeah. Yeah, and one more thing that just occurred to me is practically that Mars, when it's out of bound, it will be very much pointing to the outside, not so much inwardly thinking about any consequences, or about not so much thinking about when being criticized, for example. They will not be thinking, why are others criticizing me? But they will be more like, what's up with others? In this way, they will be bringing this energy out, not so much internalizing it.
My friend who has got this out-of-bound Mars in Sagittarius rules opinions. He is so opinionated, and Sagittarius rules these advisory energies as well. He always gives advices to everyone. He can't help it.
Yeah, nobody else has the right to have their own mind.
Yeah. Let's have a look at Jupiter.
Okay, so when we talk about the Sagittarius and being opinionated, having a Jupiter out of bound, we'll also talk about such a thing, but maybe more, not so much on the petty nitty-gritty level, but more on having a philosophy in life and wanting to impose it to others. Like, this is the truth, no other truth. And or maybe on a positive note, it can indicate that you're able to see so many truths, unconventional ways of seeing the truth, that you can actually realize and be born with this realization, insight, that it is the unity of all things, and this is a universal truth, and no matter how many theories you go through, they will always be leading you to the same thing. And in this way they can become like teachers, gurus, to lead, because Jupiter is the teacher, they are the leader, the ones who will be helping others to find their way, their path, just because they have access somehow to this truth, to this knowledge, to this higher knowledge, to these higher realms. And having an out of bound Jupiter can make you highly moralistic as well. And you know, even at times when it is not so, you know, such a great issue to somehow step out and make a compromise, they wouldn't know a compromise in this sense. Morality will be really important for them, so they will be stepping out of situations where morality is not followed. This will be really important to them. So
just a couple of extra things I would mention. Jupiter could, an out-of-bound Jupiter could bring a great public recognition, especially if it's connecting to your midheaven, as well as these people love traveling. They even can imagine their life living here 3 months, living there 3 months. Yeah, so they just love traveling. But as I said, Jupiter is the rarest which goes out of bounds. So we don't really have so much information about out of bound Jupiter just yet. Good. Let's have a look at Uranus going out of bound. Wow, a double Uranus.
Uranus out of bound is like double out of bound, because out of bound gives Uranian qualities, and now Uranus out of bound will really make you weird. And although it's a collective planet, and it's not so easily seen, because it wouldn't be so much related to your personal qualities only. It's like having an impact on a global level more. And maybe in this case, when we have Uranus out of bound, it will be great to also look at any aspects to personal planets, so that you can see where this Uranus will be manifesting as an out of bound way of perceiving things. And of course, the words eccentric, bizarre are really related to this planet, both in terms of behavior and in terms of appearance, how you look and how you behave. If Uranus is rebellious, it can be a criminal as well. Really, again, a genius, but again, maybe here really a lot, very much related to this thin line between being a genius and being crazy a bit.
Yeah, that's right. You know, a couple of examples for out of bound. So I do know that Stephen King has got out of bound Uranus, and he was a father of 2. Sorry, he was he was 2 years old when the father popped out to buy a packet of cigarettes, and then he never returned. Also, Salvador Dali had out of bound Uranus. Yeah. And when he was 5 years old, he was taken to his brother's grave and told that he was his brother's reincarnation. Or Richard Burton had out of bound Uranus as well. And his mother died when he was only 2 years old. So actually, out of bound Uranus can bring you some tragic type of experiences in your life. They could actually get involved in dangerous experiments, or they could be intentionally trying to shock others. That's the negative side. The positive side maybe is that they could be extremely eccentric, or they could have a very bizarre appearance. They might love inventions and discovering things. They could be extremely creative or a heightened imagination. Of course, Uranus and Mercury rules astrology. So those 2 out of bound could also indicate that you would be very good at it.
Yeah, true, so true. And Uranus somehow reminds me, I always make this relation between when you mentioned all these tragic experiences in the life of little children with out of bound Uranus, it somehow tends to make us feel lonely in a way and like left alone, because Uranus is, you know, the objective, like being lonely, being left alone.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
this is a trait that appears, but it's an outside circumstance because it's a collective planet. It's not something that you do. It's something that happens to you because it's more on a collective level. It's like it's meant to be. You came here to go through this experience and to be able to rise up.
Um, yeah, and last but not least, we've got Pluto out of bounds.
The most favorite, right?
The most favorite. Actually, that's one of the most common out of bound planet as well, next to Moon.
Yeah, because Pluto's orbit is very extreme. It's not you know, like the other planets' orbits. So it's most often it comes to be out of bound. And as I said, it's an extreme planet. So being out of bound, related to extremes, it can make you even more extreme, and you can be so rebellious that you will be pushing the boundaries of others. But since again it's a collective planet, as we mentioned for Uranus, it will be again related to outer circumstances more. And I would again be looking at aspects to personal planets to see how it will manifest for the person and for the chart. But it will give a very intense personality, someone who is very intense and who is very extreme and who goes from one side to the other very fast, really fast changing behaviors and being really obsessive, controlling in a way. Yeah, but also on a positive note, this can give you great business intuition, because you will be able to see everyone else's weak points in a way, and you will also be able to see to sense the collective field, how things are going. So it will can give you also psychic abilities. Pluto is
That's
very a
right.
very psychic planet. So yeah, it's related to rebirth, to being to these transformational experiences. So yeah, Pluto can give you this experience to and lead you to evolution, to develop in a
You know
way.
what's interesting about Moon and Pluto being the most common out of bound planets? Both
Mm.
are somehow related to the emotional baggages.
Oh yeah.
So when someone has got a Pluto out of bounds, they often have to be dealing with issues of being different as a child or something to do with their physical condition. In some cases, the parents are treating them also differently. These people can have some type of, sorry, I'm giggling because the dog is playing with my foot and she's tickling me. So they could have some type of insecurities within the relationship, or they have got troubles of actually fully engaging a relationship. And the reason being is because they've experienced some type of separated energies when they were young. So these children could be abused, for instance, as a child, or they could feel trapped within the family. Um, or it could actually, for instance, Sylvester Stallone has got out of bound Pluto, and he was born with a very hard labor, and he kind of had to be forced uh, out of the mom so that she could deliver him. And at birth, he had some partial paralysis of his facial muscles. So that's, for instance, a good example. And yes, on a positive level, Pluto can give a extreme wealth to the person or extreme financial problems as well. Obviously, you know, we might be experiencing both ends of it. So at one point you can be having extremely loads of money, and the next point, nothing really. Yes. So this is our out of bounds energies. I hope you guys. Yeah.
Would you like to just mention the 0 degrees? Because I'm so keen on them, because I know that Dane Rudier, an astrologer that I really like, he has the sun on 0 degrees. And and Einstein also had Mercury conjunct Saturn on 0 degrees.
Yeah, go ahead, mention it.
I just wanted to mention it because the 0 degrees, this is actually when a planet is conjuncting the equator, right? This line that is the window practically. Yeah, if you show my chart or any other chart.
Gonna be the equator.
Yeah, this one. Yeah. So the celestial equator. If you have a planet there, then it will be somewhere at 0 degrees. Yeah.
So here you go.
Yeah, he has the sun and also Saturn and Mercury in conjunction. Sun is very close, it's on the second, so it's not so close, but Mercury and Saturn, and he was really a great genius. And this is because the 0 degree actually makes you very objective. It somehow gives you the ability to see the universal truth and the universal objectivity of how things really are, without I don't know the word. You are able to look at the heart of things without being prejudiced about them, without judging them. So the 0 degree also makes the native very special in a way. And of course, again, here we have the free will, if we want to use this power, because it gives you power to be able to tell everybody else something which is universal, and they will believe you, they will trust you. So it's our own choice, again, how to use this power.
Well, if I can see that he's got Moon out of bound as well. And as we said, Moon is something to do with popularity and extreme nurturing skills and leaving something behind and starting something new. So definitely he's got a couple of energies. Next time we're going to be making a video to you about parallel and contraparallel aspects, because actually those are so much connected with the declination of the planets, and also it gives you a different idea of how you should be interpreting your natal chart. Yeah. So you know what you should be doing. If you like the video, press like, subscribe, share it with your friends. Let us share more knowledge to the world, because astrology is a great way to get to know yourself a little bit better. By the way, I'm going to be running a 16-week Horary course starting sometime in October. So if you are interested, then leave a comment or drop me a message, and then I can give you further information about it. Sveti, it was a pleasure, as usual.
Oh, the pleasure was mine, really.
Thank you very much for joining me. And let's do that parallel and contraparallel aspect very
yes, soon. We will.
Okay. Have a lovely day, everyone, and enjoy your weekend. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.